Carrying 6 passengers on each flight, the new service will offer 3 flights a day out of Sydney and Newcastle. At $57, the one-way flight is more expensive than existing fixed-wing services, but General Manager Stafford Lowe is confident sufficient passengers will prefer the helicopter ride.
It is more expensive, slightly, but bear in mind we are bringing people right into the heart of Newcastle, and we are giving a different service. There's novelty to it, and we have the tourist aspect, coastal scenery below cloud, and I think that's well worth the slightly extra that people would be paying.
Initially, the service will use a Bell Long Ranger helicopter, but this twin-engine machine, a French Squirrel, may clear the way for the commuter operation to land at Darling Harbour in the centre of Sydney.
We have made application to take the twin-engine Squirrel into the centre of Sydney, but we're waiting on the Department of Aviation to make a decision on that.
Everybody loves a parade, at least at the entrance. Today it looked like the whole town was in the main street for the 1982 Mardi Gras procession. Leading the parade was the reigning queen of the Mardi Gras, Mrs. Vicky Vickerat. 92-year-old Mrs. Vickerat earned her title in 1980 for her fundraising efforts. She was followed by the Gosford City Band and a cast of colourful characters. There was something in the parade for everyone. Even Santa Claus was there. It was undoubtedly an enjoyable day for participants and spectators alike, although not everyone in the parade seemed to enjoy all the attention.
The tournament at Myuna Bay attracted a top-class field of open men's skiers. Jack Ellison from Sydney and Bruce and John Neville, also from Sydney, were competing along with Bruce Coburn from Newcastle. Jack Ellison and Bruce Neville skied very, very well in the open men's slalom, but it was the former world and Australian champion Bruce Coburn who showed through with great skill and great strength to win that particular event. Jack Ellison went on to win the men's jumps. Bruce Coburn won the men's open tricks. In the ladies' division, it was a win for Queensland. Tony Kirby from Surfers Paradise completely outclassed the rest of the field, with Lynn Neville from Sydney in second place. And the Open Junior Boys was a win for Newcastle. Scotty Cromarty won the tricks, slalom and the jumps to win the Junior Masters.
Yes, when he first came in, we had to get him adapted to being hand-fed, and that took us about 2 to 3 days before he'd take food from us voluntarily. When we achieved that, we set about and we pinned that lower beak where that break is. There's about 20 millimetres of beak missing there. We placed a stainless steel pin in there to stabilise the lower beak, and then we used some nylon to ensheathe the broken ends of bone just to make it more stable.
At the top part of the beak?
Well, the top part of the beak there's about 300 millimetres of beak missing there. As you noticed, he has about 100 millimetres of beak remaining there. So what we're hoping to do now is to manufacture an artificial beak to make up the deficit.
Has that ever been done before in Australia?
As far as I'm aware, it has not been done in Australia before. It has been done in America at San Diego, the SeaWorld Institute. It was done there about a month ago.
And what would you make the beak out of?
It will have to be a plastic or a nylon. Polypropylene seems to be the substance to use. But first of all, I'm obtaining a skull, and we're going to make a template of the upper bill of a pelican, and then we hope to attach it with stainless steel wires. This is the artificial beak. When we manufacture it, we have to attach it with stainless steel wires and pins to the remaining upper beak.
And what's Percy's long-term future?
Well, as he stands at the moment, he's okay for captivity. But what I'd like to try and do is let him go again, set him back in the wild.
Mr Bill Hopkins has been Newcastle Secretary of the FIA since 1974, but his association with the union goes back a further 7 years. He has urged Newcastle's 14,000 FIA members to vote in what has turned out to be an important election for the city's largest and oldest union.
The Ironworkers Union play a very major role within the ACTU and the labour movement generally, such as the ALP and the New South Wales Labour Council. And any change in the Ironworkers Union would certainly create a change in the politics in those areas.
And for you, Bill, these elections signal an end to your career in Newcastle.
I'm a candidate for the Assistant National Secretary's position, which is the number 2 position in the union in Australia. And regretfully, I'm forced to go to Sydney.
Why have you decided to make that move, Bill, after such a long association with Newcastle?
Well, there's been a number of new challenges occurred. The opportunity to go into the national office came, and this is the second occasion that it's happened. I refused it the first time, but on the second occasion I've picked up the challenge, and hopefully I can give something to the trade union movement and something to the ironworkers from a national position.
Provides for a basic grant of $2,500 and or if there are children, $500 additional for one child, $1,000 for 2 or more children, and it's a scheme which is based on savings. For the maximum of $2,500, the couple must have held $2,500 for 2 years, and the family bonus is, as I said, payable in respect of the children. Even a child born after the home purchase, up to 11 months after home purchase, can still qualify for the family bonus.
Is this new scheme going to be more expedient than the old home savings grant scheme, where there are many people still waiting for their money?
Yes, certainly. The scheme, the whole point of the scheme is it is a deposit assistance scheme. It is essential that we have the grant available in time for settlement, and indeed Australia-wide this is being done.
Yeah, I think we probably exceeded our own expectations. We went over there hoping to do well, but probably our confidence wasn't too high when we left, but we really were pleased with the result.
What about the semi-final? I believe you thought you may have been a shade unlucky.
Yeah, we were down 1-0 to Russia, although we had most of the second half, and we had a goal disallowed 5 minutes from the end, which would have given us a chance to beat them in extra time.
Were you happy it was a goal?
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was a goal, and well, that's just the way it goes with the referees.
If you'd got to the final, I guess that would have been a big lift, and maybe a result our way. Would have been remarkable.
Yeah, I think so. We would have really fancied our chances in the final.
Ralph, you enjoyed the trip as well?
Yes, immensely, yes.
Whereabouts now?
Well, we go up to Port Moresby next week to play Papua New Guinea, Fiji and New Zealand, and the winner of that round robin goes to Costa Rica in January.
To play who?
We play Costa Rica and Israel there. And
You're
the winner
confident you're going to get there?
For sure, yeah.
And after that, into the final 16 of the World Youth Cup for 83?
That's correct, yeah.
Well, after the last performance that Australia, well, we performed so well, do you think that the Australian soccer at this youth level is now starting to really come of age?
Oh, for sure. We're competing physically, aggressively and everything with the rest of the world, so I think we're right there, yeah.
It's now 12 months since work began at Newcastle Beach, interrupting 2 summer seasons. There have been various extensions of time, but now the project is expected to be completed by the 18th of December, the scheduled date for the official opening. The project includes a new pavilion and landscaping. A feature of this development is the brick paving and grass covering part of the roof of the building. Other work undertaken by the council includes a subway from the beach to Pacific Park. Here, things are moving slowly. Completion of work in the park is expected to take another year at least. So far, only 35% of the landscaping and restoration has been carried out. Future work, including the demolition of the toilet block, is subject to other allocations. There have been many plans for this site in Hunter Street, none of which ever got off the ground. The historic building has been unoccupied for many years and now is in need of urgent attention. The matter has been a major headache to the council, which has been unable to secure a satisfactory partner or buyer for the site. It's now believed Mr. Lewis has gone overseas in search of a partner, someone who could finance a major project on this site, such as an international class hotel. The idea is not new to Newcastle. Kern Constructions wanted to establish an international class hotel here, but were knocked back. Kern's solicitors officially notified Dark's Iceworks today that the company would not proceed with the purchase and development of this site. An international class hotel on the Frederick Ash site would provide a perfect opportunity for the council to promote the City Hall as a convention centre. Mr. Lewis is expected to arrive back at the end of this week, hopefully with some good news.
About 100 people attended the meeting in the Newcastle Workers' Club. Also present were the chairman of the committee, Dr. Howard Bridgman, and the president of the Water Board, Dr. John Patterson. The meeting called for a moratorium on rates and a change in the present dual rating system. Water users are angry having to pay both a land value and a usage component. Dr. Bridgman warned the meeting that ratepayers could face legal action if they did not pay their bills, but he criticised the government for delays in introducing an effective hardship fund for those people who had difficulty in paying the new rates. Today, the Water Board is preparing to send out their latest account. This bill is for the water used in the last 4 months, and most ratepayers are in for a pleasant surprise at the small amount. However, as water usage during the winter period is traditionally low, the summer bill may be substantially higher. Nevertheless, with the land value component paid and the first usage bill on its way, most water users have already paid more than last year, and they have 2 more bills in the current financial year yet to come. The Water Board has 115,000 metered properties, and each of those will receive a bill within the next week. Those residents at Stockton, Wickham and Islington should receive their first consumer bill tomorrow. That's the bill for the amount of water they've used. Outer suburbs should receive theirs by the end of next week. There's plenty of water in storage, and the good news is that at this stage no water restrictions are likely for summer, but the Water Board is anxious that people remain aware of the water they do use, as it looks like being a long, hot summer.
This is probably about the last environment you might expect would produce Australian native plants.
But not only is the Port Waratah coal loader slowly being surrounded by typical Australian bush, it's actually producing seeds for planting elsewhere. 5 years ago, the reclaimed land on which the loader is built was sprayed with masses of seeds. And now, what in the past might well have been a dust bowl, is as dense and shady as undisturbed bushland.
When we initially hydromulched our native seeds into the site, we used a very wide selection, and even now on new areas we're still using new varieties to achieve a better cross-section of species.
So it's a sort of survival of the fittest then. The things that will adapt and will survive here are the ones that should be here.
Certainly, and the ones that have adapted have done very, very well. And even today though, we are getting regeneration after only 5 years of those species which are not just tolerating the conditions but are thriving in it.
The native plants growing at Port Waratah also have the ability to survive without extensive artificial watering, and in fact the current dry spell is actually helping the seed crop.
The water shortage and the no rainfall for the last few weeks of any significance is helping the native seeds to set, so we're getting a really good harvest this year.
Yeah, there's going to be a real lot of competition. This year we've got 365 boats, and it's going to be one good race if the weather stays up for us.
Now, you're aptly nicknamed the Bionic Kangaroo. What are you skiing behind this year?
I'm skiing behind a boat called Missile this year. It's a Haynes Hunter with a blown engine in it. It's running real quick.
What's going to be your main opposition?
Well, there's 3 boats out there: Firebird, Louise J and Assassin. They're 3 very fast boats too.
Robbie, the course is 67 miles long. How long is it going to take you to run that 67 miles?
Well, we're hoping on low 46 minutes. The record is 47.50, so we're hoping for 46 minutes.
So therefore, in patches of the race, you're doing well over 100 mile an hour.
We'll be doing 100 mile an hour up the straightaways.
What's the safety angle like? Is it a pretty safe race?
Well, not really. Last year I went to hospital 2 weeks after the race from a bad fall I had. But it's like all sports, you know, there's a risk there. So you just go in it and do your best.